This is my first burn. This is my second burn.
It's my 5th year going.
I'm Lulu, I'm a burner, and this is my 18th Burning Man.
I'm Malio, and this is my first year at Burning Man.
The first year I went to Burning Man was 1995. I was 6 or 7 years old. I learned to ride my bike here. I actually also learned to drive at Burning Man when I was much older. I had a lot of life's firsts out here in the desert, and a lot of my growing up happened here, even if it was just in that 1 week a year, every year.
What's Burning Man about?
Well, I always was told it's an art festival. I think of it more as like an awesome holiday.
What I think it is it's a gathering of a lot of people.
It's a place where you can go and take a break from the real world and never, don't have to worry about work for a whole week, I think.
In my opinion, it's a chance to have a ton of fun.
A place where lots of people come and build stuff.
This is the only time you can just do what you want to do.
It's like a community with a lot of kids and adults, and my favorite part of Burning Man is seeing all the art.
I like fire.
My favorite is the art cars.
Art cars?
Art cars, they're really cool.
The art cars are these cars that are decorated. The craziest thing I've seen at Burning Man yet is the octopus that shoots fire.
It's just like roaming around, it's got like fire. It's really cool.
There's the Burning of the Man on Saturday. A lot of rides and cool structures that you can see. There's a bunch of art exhibits. Some of them you just look at, some of them you can really climb on.
For the kids, it's way out there. Who doesn't want to sail on a pirate ship in the middle of a dust storm?
I have identical twin boys, Aaron and Theo. They're almost 4 years old, and this is their 4th burn, 5th if you count in utero.
Burning Man is a man, and he burns down, and the temple.
I've had a lot of people ask me over the years, what is Burning Man to me, because of the fact that I've been here for so long. It's a very difficult question for me to answer because it is so many things to me at this point. It's all of my friends. It's the greatest party you'll ever go to. It's my favorite neighbors.
I actually learned how to fire dance, and that was really awesome.
At first, it was a way to plug into a completely accessible community, which I had never experienced before and had a really profound impact on me. I didn't grow up in the context of organized religion, so I didn't have that kind of structured community.
Burning Man to me is where I get to be who I actually am all the time, every day.
And I was just really taken with how approachable everybody was. It didn't matter if they were, fabulous looking aliens, completely naked, or totally normal looking. You could walk up and have a very earnest conversation with anyone. And there was just no pretense or kind of boundary there.
We were always a family. It's like a family reunion with people you're just meeting for the first time.
We went out to the desert, there were kids out there in the first year, and then the other parents thought, well, you can do that, and it's not gonna harm them.
This is the 3rd time I brought my daughter.
Dust, she doesn't mind. The dust, he doesn't care. She wants to play in the dust. The heat, well, of course you have to protect her, but that's why you're a parent.
During the day, some people think it's really, really hot, but that's normal for me. And then at night, I think it's really, really cold, but some people, they're really used to that.
I learned a lot about how to take care of yourself, whether it's weather or dehydration or slicing yourself open on rebar, how to actually handle those crisis situations.
This year we had the Black Rock Scouts on the Playa, and this has been a group that's been in operation for a long time.
Is basically where kids can go to different places, and you could help light lamps so people could see where they were going at night.
I've talked to her about the 10 principles, what she thinks it means, what I think it means.
People give gifts without expecting anything in return. There's a lot of ages and different sizes, and everyone just shares in the community. Top 10 things I've experienced is meeting new people, learning how to express yourself, knowing how to live in these conditions. You have to bring all your food and there's no electricity. getting the experience to climb all these art cars and art installations, being able to do behind the scenes stuff, gifting to people, learning how to talk to people that you don't know, how to make friends, seeing a bunch of different emotions like sadness, happiness. It's like all in one, but at the end of the day, everybody's just happy. And then seeing the man burn, which is the best experience of all.
I think that a lot of people have a hard time with the concept of bringing children to Burning Man, and I think that a lot of that stems from either a misconception of what the event is or their own personal interpretation of what the event is.
Telling people that you take your family to Burning Man definitely does get the full spectrum of responses. For people who are critical of it, I simply remind them that in any city of 70-odd thousand people, you're going to have a host of potential experiences, and it's your responsibility as a parent to control which of those experiences your children are actually interacting with and exposed to.
For some people, this is not the place to bring your children. If you are a party person who's going to go out every single night and go dancing and not come home and not take very good care of yourself while you're out here, you should probably not also bring your children here. But if you're a person who wants to involve your children in your life as an adult, and you're a person who supports those children and wants them to experience the things that you experience, then I think it's a great place for kids.
The people who say Burning Man is no place for a kid, I think it is a place for a kid. It is the place for a kid to learn about interaction, to learn about values. Just meeting people, just talking to people. She doesn't care about naked people, or it's all there, but she doesn't care. It's the grown-ups who care. It's the grown-ups who have a problem with it.
They're never unchaperoned. I know that that's no guarantee that they aren't going to witness something kind of provoking or challenging, but at its worst, I figure anything like that is just going to prompt a conversation. And you can't be afraid to have those conversations with your kids.
Well, my mom, in the default world, I don't think she'd walk around without a top. And in the default world, I don't think my dad would walk around in a kilt.
It's only through avoidance, mystifying things and making them other or forbidden, by just kind of confronting it head on and not being afraid to address it in the moment.
You know, any criticism of mixing children in with it, I think is true in any large city. And this is a city, there's 50,000 people. You know, there are things that aren't appropriate for kids. I think it's well separated, and I think it's healthier here than back in big cities.
As a child, I didn't experience any drug culture at Burning Man. Nobody ever offered me drugs when I was a kid. I think it's a very responsible community. I was offered drinks at bars in San Francisco before I was 21, before I was ever offered a drink at a bar at Burning Man. There's a culture of responsibility for each other and for ourselves, and that's something that I think really is fantastic for children who grow up here. They're able to take on that responsibility for themselves and also see others at least being conscientious.
In any community, there are children. Burning Man is a city. Cities have children. Children learn from their parents, they learn from the other people around them, the values and the mores of the city, you know, of the community. So they learn how to be the kind of people that we want to be, all of us out here, by being here with us.
We are in Kidsville. There's like trampolines,
the voodoo shooting gallery,
dodgeball, pillow fight arena.
Kidsville began as a place for families to come together and share their Burning Man experience together.
The kids can find out about the inner workings of Burning Man. They can go to the airport, they go to the radio station. It's really important for kids to be able to be here at Burning Man.
Anybody who takes kids out there knows that it's a wonderland for kids, and they can take delight and experience wonder in the same way at the same time as the adults and for the same reason. How often do you get to do that? How meaningful is that?
They get to experience adults in a state of play and wonder. In the rest of the world, they don't get to see adults like that very often. It kind of levels the playing field in experience between child and adult in a really beautiful and innocent way.
It really shows them that anything's possible. They can do anything they feel like if they figure out how. It's really a valuable lesson in our society, you know, back in the default world. In so many cases, kids are just watching, and their own making and doing is not necessarily as valued as it should be, whereas out here, every little thing that a person does to contribute adds to the whole and can be valued equally, and the kids are actually doing something.
How could you have a real community without having kids in it? Without having elders in it and kids, you know? How can you have a real community if the elders and the kids aren't talking to one another and the parents in the middle are looking at both of them? That's what family's for.
Children can learn so many things from Burning Man. Just being able to say yes to the unusual and to say yes to the things that the standard cultural norms try to prevent us from doing. Touching the art was an amazing thing for me as a child.
When she was little, they used to have the kids pull the rope to raise the man when he was lying flat on the ground. And it took all the kids to get the man standing up, and, you know, some grown-ups on the end pulling too. It was a valuable part of what we did, and they were valued for their contribution. So I think that's one of the most important things about having kids at Burning Man. It's a great leveler for all of us.
Last year we went to the temple. It's a place where people can let out their feelings of lost loved ones and just feelings in general. We put pictures in there last year for my grandma. It was sad because a bunch of people were expressing their feelings, and
I think she's having a great time here for the most part. It's hard to get a straight answer sometimes, but I've always told her that, you know, when you're ready to go, we'll go. And that's what we've done in the last 2 years.
I'm one of the kids that wanted to be here. I've always wanted to be here. And I think it's important for parents who want to bring their children here to include them in this, to actually do that. But then if the kid says, you know what, Dad, that really wasn't for me, I didn't like it, let them have that, because that's just as an important lesson to them as perhaps some of the other things that they will experience while they're here.
I want it to be all positive, and so far it has been.
I love seeing my boys out here. They have such a great time, and they have such wonderful experiences with the people and the artwork and the art cars, and they elicit really wonderful responses from other people that I think other people aren't even expecting.
Burning Man is a place that nobody can copy.
I would love to come back.
I will be going next year.
Will I come back to Burning Man with my daughter? Yes. I will be back with her, grow even more on a spiritual level as well.
We're able to have a really wonderful time out here and do things that my kids would never be able to see otherwise.
Yes, it is a perfectly fine place for kids. I get asked that a lot.
The journey has to continue. For her, it's the most beautiful experience I could ever imagine.
As the event has matured and grown up, there are these generations moving through, and I love to see older and elderly people here. I love to see kids here. I think the inclusion of all ages just makes the entire experience more authentic and more translatable to the rest of life, which is ultimately what's going to make it sustainable and to allow it to have ongoing impact.
You'll be really, really amazed if you let these kids off the leash a little bit. They're whole people. Even when they're little tiny people, they're whole people already. And this is a great place to let them be who they are and let them find out who they are.
I'm Phil and I'm a burner.